Hello, I'm Marcus Lee from Veolia Network Services in Brisbane. I'm the planner and scheduler. I also manage our GIS for the network services team. I've been with Veolia for about 6 years now. It's a pleasure to be part of this event and share our story about how we use Nearmap imagery and also tell you a little bit about Veolia. Veolia is a global group. It's got a long history dating back to 1853. We operate in 5 continents around the world and our head office is in Paris. We've got 3 complementary business activities. They're divided up into water, waste and energy. Our purpose is ecological transformation. Put simply, this is to enhance the environment we live in to make sure that we humans can continue to thrive. In the 48 countries around the world where Veolia operates, there are about 220,000 employees. In Australia and New Zealand, there are about 4,600 employees. These numbers don't include the Suez employees that Veolia welcomed to the group recently as a result of a merger. We call Veolia Network Services VNS, and it's a multidisciplinary team. Our focus is mainly on infrastructure assets, wastewater, water and stormwater. Our jobs are mainly in Queensland and New South Wales. We do ad hoc or responsive emergency type work, as well as planned work. We have a strong partnership with urban utilities, and they're one of the largest water sewer authorities in Australia. The VNS depot and offices were established in June 2014 in Rocklea. I've just put a photo from Nearmap just to show where we're located. Distance-wise, we're about 10 kilometres south of the Brisbane CBD. It's as the crow flies. You're probably wondering what that structure is on the photo. Well, that's Brisbane's second largest sewage treatment plant. The team at VNS do a lot of different infrastructure-related activities. Some examples are CCTV condition inspections. That's where we take video footage of the pipe internals and manholes and do summary reports about the condition of the pipe or manhole. We do pipe cleaning. We clear roots, fat, gravel, and other debris from infrastructure pipes using high-pressure water jets or vacuum. Asset maintenance and rehabilitation. We also locate assets, for example, finding and exposing manholes that have been buried or covered with vegetation. We do pump station cleaning, engineer asset condition reports, and works scheduling optimisation. That's where we find the most efficient and cost-effective way of doing jobs with the least customer impact. We also do sewer bypass and plugging, flow controls and isolations, sewage spill cleanups. We did a lot of this after the floods earlier this year. Tankering, that's where we transport sewage to a dumping point in the network. Asset access maintenance, for example, clearing overgrown vegetation that is preventing us from getting to a manhole to do our work. Site safety inspections and aerial inspections. A recent example was where we did visual inspections from the air of a pipeline easement with a drone. Now it's time to look at who in our team uses Nearmap imagery. To start off with, we have field crew operators and supervisors. I've put a photo of Tim, one of our pipe cleaning team leaders here. He actually uses Nearmap imagery a lot, in particular in the regional areas where the GIS information is not very accurate. We have field specialists who go and locate manholes that the crews like Tim couldn't find, engineers and project officers. Customer service staff use it when they're talking to residents on the phone. I just had a call earlier from a customer service staff who said that they use the Nearmap imagery to identify trees and other vegetation on a property that could be causing some issues. Of course, planners and schedulers like myself, that's our daily tool. Risk management and safety staff, they use it as part of their safety inspections or incident reports. Our team access Nearmap imagery in two main ways. Firstly, through a web browser. That might be Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, or Firefox, whatever you prefer. We can go directly to the Nearmap MapBrowser and look up the information we want. We can also see the latest Nearmap imagery as a background layer on our GIS. The screenshot here is from our ArcGIS online map. It shows our jobs colour-coded by the type of work. The background is the latest Nearmap imagery. We also use Nearmap in our desktop GIS applications like ArcMap and ArcGIS Pro. These are the programs we use to edit, analyse and view data, and also upload it to ArcGIS Online. Some of our staff also use Nearmap imagery in an easy way. They just copy it from the Nearmap web browser, the map browser, paste it into a word processing software or an image software, and they've got a simple report that they can work on. For many of our permit applications, it's a requirement that we must include recent coordinated aerial photography. We include that and then we overlay it with the assets that we'll be accessing. Traffic permit applications can be to state government, local councils, or companies like Transurban who manage the toll roads. For access to a railway corridor or busway, there's a similar application process where we need to include the latest aerial photography and show the organisation what assets we'll be accessing on their property. Other examples are private land, where we may need to go into industries, schools or factories, or government land such as parks or certain facilities. In the next example, we had to do a CCTV inspection of a sewage pipe that was located in bushland next to a motorway. As this was government-controlled land, we had to submit a plan and show the assets that we'll be accessing. Our CCTV and pipe cleaning crews on the ground, they use Nearmap imagery to find manholes. It's very handy for them, particularly in areas where the GIS data is not very accurate, or the area is overgrown with vegetation, and they may need to go back in time and reference an image that shows the manhole before it was covered with vegetation. They'll often look at Nearmap imagery before going to site. That saves them time. Before they get there, they've got a rough idea in their head where they need to look in the field. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we use the old imagery that I just mentioned to find a manhole when we haven't been able to find it in the first instance. In many cases, the manhole can be buried, covered with vegetation, or even built over. We can use the map browser to go back in time. This helps us to try and determine the exact location. The example that you can see is a job that our CCTV crew did recently. The manhole was on a traffic island between a busway and a highway off-ramp. Because of the high volume of traffic, the work had to be done at night. This made finding the manhole very difficult. No natural light, and it was very a dark area. So what we did, we came back to the office and we looked through the Nearmap imagery until we got to an image that showed the manhole before the vegetation grew over it. And that was an October 2009 one that we used. We showed this to the crew and they went back again and they knew exactly where to look, and they found the manhole and did the job successfully. It also confirmed to us and the crew that the GIS data showing a manhole on that traffic island was accurate. Due to the size of some of our vehicles, we like to check out the site before we send the vehicles to do the work. The Nearmap imagery helps us to assess things like overhanging trees and places to turn the truck. We also look at other factors like the width of the road and the number of cars parked on the side of the road. We may need to use traffic controllers to guide traffic around the truck, maybe even do the work at a different time of day or use a different truck. When trying to work out the type of traffic control we need to use for a job, we always look at Nearmap. This helps us to decide the type and number of traffic control vehicles and also the number of traffic controllers that we'll have on site. The aerial photography helps us to verify the exact location of the manhole, the line marking, and the lane width. We can also see if we'll be working in a live lane or not. Nearmap imagery helps us to decide whether an area is residential or industrial. And that's a pretty important thing because there's restrictions on noise, particularly at night in a residential area. So if we determine it's a residential area, we'll make sure that that work's done during the day so we have the least impact on the residents. On the other hand, industrial areas can be a different kettle of fish. If it's an industrial area, we might choose to go and do the work at night to reduce impact on the customer. Heavy truck movements can make it very difficult for us to do our work, so it's a better option to do that sort of work at night. If there's construction going on in the area, we may need to do a risk assessment before we send a crew there to do the work. We'll consider safety and access issues before going to site. Access issues could be things like parking for our crew, particularly if there's a lot of construction vehicles in the street, or building materials that may be in the way. There are also safety issues involved when construction work is going on nearby. This particular image we monitored for a number of months because there was ongoing construction work over an extended period. We had to wait until the construction work was finished before we sent a crew there. This plan was put together quickly using a Nearmap image. That's our base map. We had an extra job come in after we'd applied for a rail corridor access permit. We needed to request a variation to the authority to show that we wanted to access a second manhole. The plan here shows where we're going to park the truck and the crew's walking route on the railway corridor. This was really easy to put together with just the latest Nearmap imagery at the time and just putting a few images on top of that. Our trucks carry water for jet cleaning in addition to the weight of the truck. That means they can be very heavy. It's easy for them to get bogged, particularly after rain when the ground is wet. We look at the aerial photography in Nearmap to assess the conditions of the site. And if there's paddocks or if it's a sensitive area like a golf course or even bushland, we may wait several weeks until the ground dries out before we send a crew there to do the work. Scoping a job before we go to site is really useful with aerial imagery. It helps us to get an idea of the terrain around the manhole. In this particular job, we sent an extra person to guide the hose to the manhole to avoid damaging the property. This meant better communication and safety as well, as the manhole was in a terraced backyard. I just learnt recently too that the elevation tool is very handy in determining the levels of a property, whether it's steep or flat. I haven't actually used that much myself, so I'm looking forward to getting in and using that for our planning. In the next example, we used an easement reel. That's a mobile hose reel for a job. We looked at the aerial photography to help us decide what sort of equipment we'd need to get through the bush to the manhole. There's a lot of Nearmap features that we find very useful. Some of these I've already mentioned in the examples earlier. There are others too. Oblique photos, for example. These can help you see and interpret things differently. Sometimes with the vertical aerial photography that we're traditionally used to, you can't see certain things, but when you look at it on the angle, you're able to see different things about the site that you couldn't pick up on the up and down photo. There's great navigation to Google Street View. It's very handy, easy to get to. And Nearmap imagery, of course, particularly the oblique photos, they're great on reports. You can have a nice looking report with a Nearmap imagery, whether it's the vertical one, the oblique one, and that'll make it look very impressive. Nearmap has got property boundaries, road names, and other useful background data. That means that in many cases, you don't need to use a GIS program. It's all there. All that you need for a report or a plan or a map, you've got it all there in Nearmap without having to use other applications. Nearmap has got so many other features that I haven't explored yet, and some of these features could potentially help our team to plan and do our work more efficiently. We're looking forward to exploring what is currently available in Nearmap, the things that we don't know about yet or haven't had the time to delve into. And also, we know that Nearmap are continually looking at new features, and we're really looking forward to seeing what sort of things that Nearmap comes up with in the future. Thanks for listening.